Hello, I'm Sterling Muhammad, and this is my podcast on the 5 tackles I've made in football. When I was a sophomore in high school, I spent most of my fall playing for my school football team as a defensive tackle. The sophomore football team was large. Because of this, the coaches usually split the team into two parts, A team and B team. I was part of the A team. The next game was coming up soon on Saturday. We'd practice hard all week to prepare us for the next upcoming team. Now on Saturday morning before the game, I would be getting ready for school for one last practice before the game begins. From what I remember, my father and I had made a bet for every tackle that I've made, he would pay me $10 for each. I had agreed with no hesitation, knowing by the end of the day I was going to get a lot of money. When I finally got to school, I put on my shoulder pads, jersey, and all my other gear. All I was thinking of was to make as many tackles as I can. Shortly later, the team had gone out on the grass fields behind the school so we could warm up for practice and walk through before the game. This will go on for just about an hour. Now the game has started off with a kickoff against our team. We had moved from the grass field to the turf in the stadium. Watching this was very interesting to me. The visual of the kickoff reminds me of a huge battle between rivals or tribes like in the Hobbit movies. Although I was thinking about the bet while watching our offense making their way to the field, I had to focus more on the game that was happening right in front of me. The offense was able to push their defense back many yards towards the end zone, but couldn't make the touchdown. Now their starting defense is up, myself included. The play started off where the offense had stopped. The opposing offense team called out their cadence. After the second hut, all the sounds was just clashing shoulder pads of the linemen. The defense pushed towards to break through the wall of the offensive linemen holding their positions, along with the D-line trying to break through. After 2 plays, their O-line was able to push across the 50-yard line. Now they were back to their first play. This wasn't very good because they're less than 50 yards away from making their first touchdown. We couldn't let them score on our home field. We had to either keep them from getting more yards or intercept the ball. Both wasn't going to be easy. The next play began with their cadence. As soon as the first hut, I was able to take off past my O-line guard and scored my first tackle. That was my first tackle of the game. I had made $10. The offense didn't gain any yards from that play. If anything, they lost some. I was very happy by this, but I had to keep my head in the game. The next play began soon. Their offense had gained many yards but hadn't scored a touchdown. Our offense was out on the field next. After a few plays, we made a touchdown and the field goal. Then, back to my defense versus their offense. I was able to make 2 more tackles within our time out there, but they had still scored on us. While they made a touchdown, we stopped them from making the field goal, which left them with 6 points instead of 7. Before I knew it, it was already halftime. The coaches would take the teams to the end zone and tell us to take a knee. Meanwhile, our coaches are telling us off how we should do better the next part of the play. It appeared the opposite team was doing the same. After a brief team discussion with our coach, our team dropped our helmets and prayed for good luck before the next game could resume after halftime. Shortly after, the second half begins with another kickoff against their team. Our kickoff team lines up on this same line, and the kicker gets ready to punt the football. Our kickoff team runs to the other side of the field where the ball was caught. The opposite team had way more players out on the field. Seeing this again reminded me of a big battle scene from The Lord of the Rings. Even though even the player number difference was big, our half eventually got to the opposing player that caught the ball. The player running with the ball was shielded by surrounding teammates, but they haven't got really far. Soon after, our defense was back on the field. After a few more plays, I had gotten one more tackle on the running back. That was another $10 to add up to the 3 others I got earlier. After that, trying to break through the offensive line was hard. I was getting double blocked by the linemen. Breaking through took me time and strength. By the time I broke free, one or both of the defensive ends would made it past the linemen. Shortly after, the play wouldn't go on for much longer. After about 15 to 20 minutes of our defense and offense going out on the field, the game was nearly over. It was close to 7-6. We were winning by just 1 point, and all they needed was one more touchdown, and they would claim the victory. Last play was the defense was out on the field. The score was still the same. So all we had was to keep them from scoring another touchdown. That was a lot of pressure on us. Keeping them from scoring or we lose. It was a task that we must take, but during this one thought was in the back of my mind, get one more tackle before the game ends. I knew it was kind of selfish to think of something like that, especially in this current situation, but that's what I wanted. Soon, the quarterback calls out the cadence, the next play starts. Shoulder pads and helmets clash, both sides determined for the final victory. Linemen driving and defending the linebackers. This moment was tense for everyone because it was anyone's game at this point. Luckily, from where the play was, their offense was not close to the end zone. We were all on the 30-yard line on the opposite side of the field. Through the madness, I had one more tackle on the quarterback. The lineman that was made to guard me split and left a huge gap open for me free to run through. Then I raised my hands up in the air and said, "Yes, 5," with all my 5 fingers up. I had made my 5th tackle of the game. That was $50 right there. I was so happy at that moment, but I needed to keep focused on keeping them from scoring. Soon the game ended and the score remained. We had won this game by 1 point. After the team had a short celebration, we all went home. After all the work and tackles that I made during the game, it turns out that my father had forgotten the deal that we made earlier this morning. I was very mad, but I wasn't too mad because I felt like the thought of me winning something got me to work harder and motivated me to do better. Maybe the coaches had seen me and thought, wow, look how good he is doing. In the end, I didn't receive the $50 from the bet, but on the bright side, the thought of getting something in return made me perform better. And this is my story on the 5 tackles from my sophomore year.